QGIS stands for Quantum GIS, and it's an open source software that can be used on Mac operating systems. To find it, look for the icon that's a yellow Q with a green arrow through it. If it's not already in your dock, look in your Applications folder or in your Student or Teacher folder and then My Apps. When you open the application, you'll see a blank window with many toolbars at the top, plus various options in the menu bar, not all that dissimilar from a Word document. The big open space in the right part of the window is where the data will appear as you build your map. This area on the left where it says Legend is where the names and symbols of each different data layer will appear once you've brought them into your map. When you first open QGIS, all of the toolbars are going to appear by default. The divisions between the toolbars are these little dotted double lines. Because there's more tools than actually fit in this area, at the right-hand side of each toolbar, there's a double arrow that if you click on it, will show all the additional tools available in that toolbar. Because you're only going to be using some of the toolbars as you first get to know QGIS, it's a good idea to hide the bars that you aren't going to be using so that all the tools and the bars that you do want will be visible. To do this, go to the View menu and Toolbar Visibility. You'll want to uncheck each of the toolbars that you don't want to show. Those that you likely will not be using would be Plugins, Digitizing, and Manage Layers. I can then move the toolbars around by clicking and dragging on the double dotted line. Now I'm able to readily see all of the tools that I will be using regularly. As you can see, there's no actual map when you first open the software. You need to create a map by adding each of the different layers of data one at a time. There are 4 different buttons that allow you to add data into your map. They're the ones that have the plus sign in the green circle as a part of their icon. If you hover over each of them, a tip will appear that tells you what they do, and this is true for all of the other tools also. For now, we want to stick with the Add Data button that's the furthest to the left of the 4, that says Add a Vector Layer. Vector data is the kind of data that you'll be working with the most in GIS. When you click on this Add Data button, a window will open showing the files on your computer. In this window, navigate to the folder where you have your GIS data stored. Notice that there are many files that have the same file name but different extensions. This is because each data layer or shapefile that we add into the map actually has many different types of files that are associated with it. For example, the colleges layer actually consists of 7 different files. The DBF file is a database of all the attribute data, such as the name and enrollment of each school, that we just viewed. The PRJ file defines the projection, which has to do with how the layer is placed onto the surface of the Earth. And the SHP file contains the actual geometry and shapes of the layer. If you ever need to place a data layer on a disk or email it to someone, it's very important to be sure that you include all of the various files that are associated with that layer. Otherwise, it will not display in your map. When you're adding data to your map, all of the files are grayed out except for the shapefile with the SHP extension. This is the file that you'll want to click on to add it into your map. You can click on one shapefile and then the Add button to add a single layer of data in, and then repeat the process to add additional layers. Or if you hold down the Command key, you can click on multiple shapefiles and add more than one of them at a time. I'm going to select Colleges, Trans, which stands for Transportation and is primarily roads, and this METWP shapefile, which is a layer of all the towns in Maine, and click the Add button to add them into my map. When you add the layers to the map, you will see the layer name and their symbol in the table of contents on the left, and the actual data will appear in the area to the right. There are 3 different kinds of shapefiles: points, such as this college layer, lines, such as roads and streams, and polygons, such as this towns layer, or pawns, or anything that has a shape to it. The data layers in the map are drawn and stacked on top of each other in the same order that they're listed in the table of contents. I can change the order by clicking on a layer in the table of contents and dragging it beneath the others. So if I click and drag this colleges layer to the bottom of the table of contents, it will also be the bottom layer in the map. It looks like it disappears. It's still there, but because there's a polygon layer on top of it, it's no longer visible. So I'm going to drag it back up to the top in the table of contents. This transportation layer shows all the roads down to the smallest ones, which is why it looks so busy in this map. Because of this, I may not want it to display. To leave the layer in the map, but not have it be drawn, I just click on the checkbox next to it in the table of contents. If I wanted to remove it entirely, I would right-click on the name of the layer in the table of contents and select Remove. One of the most vital features of GIS is that the attribute information is tied to spatial information. In other words, for this colleges layer, all of the information about each school is tied to the geographic location of each school. I can view all of this attribute data by right-clicking on the colleges layer in the table of contents and selecting Open Attribute Table. I can use the bar at the bottom of this window to scroll through all of the different attributes that are included in this layer. For instance, the name of the school, its address, what county it's in, directions to where the school is, what types of degrees they offer, and its enrollment. If I use the scroll bar to the right of the window, I can scroll through all the different records for the schools that are in this layer. Because the attribute information and the location of each of these schools are tied together, if I highlight one of the schools by clicking on the gray box to the left of the record, that school will also be highlighted in the map. It's a good idea to save your map as soon as you start working on it, as QGIS sometimes has a tendency to crash. Saving your map is not that different than saving a Word document. Go to the File menu, choose Save As, and navigate to the folder where you want to save your map. Type in a name under the File Name box, and click Save, and now you've created your first map.